here. And I send them everything, and I'm like, hey, thank you so much, really appreciate it. Got everything in. We're gonna be opening up here soon.
Yeah.
Machines coming through. Like we got everything going in the right direction. Thank you so much. Please let me know what I need to pay you.
Okay. Where's the bill, right?
That shit's still on, man.
Hey, that's love, dude.
Right.
I mean, that's where I'm like, somebody either forgot or they was just feeling some kind of way that day.
Hey,
Either way.
Take that way.
And I'll take that way, right? I'll take that way all
Either
day.
way.
And it's kind of funny because, that's where I started.
Oh.
Yeah, was at the roast. Well, that's where I started learning coffee.
Right. Is that where you got the keys and you said figure it out? Or this
Hang on.
afterwards?
Is this interview questions here?
No, we're just talking now.
Like, for real, like, when I was doing coffee at first, I was running an insurance practice. So I was running an insurance practice and I was doing that first, and I was the only brother doing that in my company.
Well, you probably used to that, being on the road.
Yeah,
Like that's
just
probably
growing up. Yeah, so it didn't bother me, but I was always trying to be a disruptor. Cause that shit's in me.
Okay, hold on. See, now we get into the hold on.
Yeah, I knew this would happen. This always happens. It leaks.
Hold on. All right. 3, 2. Hey, what's up, Guan? Bonjour, famille. Bump Jonas here. Guess who I ran into?
What's good? TJ Roberts on here, Kinship.
And we're on site at Kinship, y'all.
Yo.
Oh, man. So let's get started. Well, first of all, thank you so much for your time.
Bro.
Your energy is crazy. Here's something. I always give people their accolades. I'm going to start off with your flowers now. One, I want to say it is incredibly empowering and uplifting and actually validating to see another man, another Black man, and another entrepreneur do things in the way that you do. You're very community-based. You're very out there with how you do things. And with that, I want to say, it's actually very dope to see that you are genuinely as good-natured a person as your Instagram makes you seem. You know what I mean?
Bro. I mean, that is who I am because I do want to be transparent.
Okay.
But for me as a person, I also just want to be proud of what I leave, because I know my time is always guaranteed. Right. So for me, it's if you came into the world a certain way, hopefully you left it better than when you found it, right? So then it's yeah. But I appreciate it, man, for real, because I've been watching your podcast stuff too as well, seeing the work you put in, but also you come prepared, you come ready to talk. And
I try. Well,
they know I like to talk.
I'm a gabby motherfucker, man. So okay, so look, I gotta lead off with our standard question, which is, who is TJ? And I guess I need to get that in the sense of kinship, right? But at the same time, TJ, I'm sure feeds into some of the personality of kinship. So I want to know, who is TJ? What do you do and why?
Oh man, to be real concise, I'm strong, I'm loyal. I have a strong work ethic. Consistency is key in everything that I do in my life. Intentional about being intentional.
Gotcha. Okay.
Going the extra mile to see people the way they want to be seen instead of the way I may perceive them to be seen.
Interesting.
So it's really the place of trying to understand people more. World is always changing. From the time we was young,
man.
Games, etc., has all changed.
Yeah.
So you have to be understanding that changes is inevitable. And if you are learning, if you're not a student to what you're crafting or you're creating, for that matter, you're not really living, in my opinion. You're existing.
Right.
And
you're just moving, floating along.
Yeah. And that works in people's worlds if they're following the right things, right? You want to give guidance when people come into my world and into kinship. The realm is to make this process convenient, make it easy, make it affordable, make it something that you'll remember forever, something that will uplift you, like you were saying. But also, there's this element of that lingers, right? Okay. And it's if you're around negativity or people that complain all the time, like it feeds off you. You know, your wife is like, man, you've been complaining, what's going on? And you're like, oh man, all the guys at work, or you know, like whatever that is, right? That's very infectious.
Right.
It's an energy that people can take in and then go put away with other people. And if that's valid, then it's equally valid for positivity and good.
Oh shit.
And I think that has to be done intentionally. That has to be done with transparency. That has to be done with like, you know, especially in this business, a human centric focus. You know, where service and quality and worthy of what this person coming in, whether they are in a fur coat or they in a blanket and homeless, like that worthy factor.
Now, why do you say? And I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you good.
You said in this business, and then you focused on the human centric factor.
Yeah.
What's so particular about this business that you need to have a human centric factor?
So, first and foremost, coffee is a fruit.
Okay.
It's actually a cherry. And what's unique about the cherries that are made in all of these different parts of the world, they have different profiles and different taste qualities that exist from the soil and the richness of like rainfall and just fertilization and type of animals, etc., that exist on these regions that create naturally these profiles. Like that God, like just the economic of US, it's the same way in the ecosystem.
Right.
There's a top and a bottom, and there's the benefits of all of that that go into soil and that creates these cherries. And these cherries are picked by hand by humans. There's not a way to commercially go and pick and check if cherries are ripe enough to pick at that time, because that's the way it's done. It's very, we could be working a shift and for the same month pass the same cherry because it's not ready. And on the 29th day of the month, oh my gosh, finally. So and we passed it all these times.
Deep. Are you a coffee fanatic?
I guess maybe somebody would say that.
Are you just a nerd?
I'm a nerd.
I mean that respectfully.
No, like I'm a nerd. I'll admit that. I think it took me a while to admit in my life what I was nerding on. You know, my friends would play video games and I'd like be doing something with my hands, or I'd want to be outside, or I want to explore, I want to get to know somebody and talk with them. There was like not a place where I wanted to escape in my life. My escape was like being outside and people and getting to know people. So coffee was like kind of that glue because it's happening around people, communicating, talking.
So your world and your approach to business is also human centric.
Yeah.
Because of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So from the time of the pick to the time of the ship and the roast and the brew, there's lots of hands, lots of humans involved in this process
to get it to another human hands,
to get it to somebody that is willing to pay, $2.60 for a cup of coffee.
I mean, it's been a while since you've been like,
that's
what is that? That's like CSI criminal law like level cup. So nobody
when
pays
you're
$2.60
like
anymore.
looking at that from that level, then you understand that like there's levels to this business.
So is that the reason why? Because you mentioned the $2.60, right? I'm picking on that, but I mean, most times people are paying like $9-10 for a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah, so for drip coffee, I mean, we have our lowest price point for those, but for our lattes, that's usually like $5.50 and above, to be able to receive. And I think for us, where we're located in Kansas City, Kansas, like near Strawberry Hill, I think that there's a lot of our market that we created this business for people that look like Black and brown, and that's a lot of the demographic here in KCK.
So your price for that income level, is that the best way to put it?
Yeah, and I think it's because you want to be approachable, right?
So and that one point I want to get back to though is, how do we end up with such a disparity in prices though? Because you're working to make it work in this area, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, to your point you said earlier, right? I can go 30 minutes away and I bet that coffee is double that or 3 times that. So is that because of the effort that's put in? Well, there's no less or more effort put in here than there is anywhere else, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be real, it just depends on the way you look at it. There's like 2 types of way to do this. There's the way we do it where we will directly work with farmers and their families with their region of where they're located to get their coffee to Kansas City.
Okay.
We'll do that with BIPOC coffee farmers, working with BIPOC logistics to get all of that to Kansas City, Kansas. And then a black roaster will roast that, hence me. And then our BIPOC staff gets to serve it. So we focus on every part of the hand process, and that's one way to operate in this business. There's other ways of operating, like most ways, which is probably, I'd say like 70% maybe of the market in Kansas City is made of people that are buying these coffee beans from these manufacturers
It's basically like commercial level
at a wholesale rate, 30 pounds a week, or
so they're getting it from the plug and you're getting it from sort of a more niche
and so that person is probably having to take a cut, right? Because you're getting it at wholesale,
right?
So then you need to increase your pricing, and then you have overhead, and then you have staff, and then you have etc. So you're going to have price variances at the lowest to the highest level on all
somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Now you just in this 5 or 10 minutes of us talking, you've dropped off a lot of game, and if nothing else, you've actually shown that you have a lot of just in like esoteric knowledge of what's going on in the business and the industry. Is that something
that's the nerd?
You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't have this going in, you picked it up along the way. So my question is, how do you grab your knowledge? How do you get your information?
Yeah, so my curiosity comes from, how did we get here?
It's that simple.
Like, it's really, I know that's really dumb, or I'm giving it away.
It's funny.
But
excuse me.
It's like, how did we get here? How did that chair become a chair? How did it become a place where it is? Who does that? How does that happen?
You start breaking it backwards.
And all of it is usually happening around a relationship.
Okay.
Right. So there's relationships that happen between organizations, businesses, and they collaborate and create products together that everyday people like me and you use, right? In the largest scope of the $1 trillion coffee industry, that's Starbucks.
$1 trillion. Is that, are you throwing that out there like a gazillion dollars?
No,
or is that real?
It's probably over $1 trillion, no lie.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
we drink
coffee.
That much fucking coffee.
Yeah. Coffee. What people don't understand is coffee is one of the largest commodities that's brought into the United States.
It's brought into?
Yeah, that we source.
We import it. We have no coffee export.
No.
We have no coffee generation.
We don't have any land that receives enough water to be able to generate enough coffee to be able to for a week.
So this is a wild question, a total tangent.
Yeah.
If we were to lose access to coffee, if there was like, let's say, a worldwide embargo of coffee on the U.S., like how long would we last without coffee?
Boy, I don't know. Science, there's lots of studies that are starting to be conducted around caffeine. Okay, so caffeine, and this is again high level conversation, like caffeine is a drug. It's a legal drug that is in the coffee space, to be honest, not regulated. So when we go to the store and we see all these price marked things, there's regulations to have that serving size be
a certain amount or a certain effect.
So that's why Four Locos don't exist no more. That's why some of these things, like they didn't meet FDA requirements, and they toggled that line, and someone got crazy, and they was like, all right, we got to regulate. So in the coffee serving space, that's not regulated. So Starbucks gets to do the way that they
want to do it.
So that means extremely bitter coffee, overly roasted, overly burned, poor working wages for people that work there. Again, this is a human-centric, focused, endeavor. This is a resource now. It's not just a drink. It's a resource, because when you realize that caffeine actually does play a huge role in your mental state, your emotional state, the way you sleep, the way you regulate.
Yeah, our entire body system.
Right. So when you ask this question, you start to realize
it's
this could be really very impactful.
Yeah.
This could be a situation in the pharmaceutical space where you see an influence of an increase of caffeine sold over the table in
Right.
that space. If coffee was eliminated,
Right.
then you have your supply shortage of what's in Seattle, Rhode Island, New Jersey, all the ports that have the coffee at
Right.
places. That would be a shortage. So eventually, if that happened and we ran out, boy, yeah.
That could
I
be
mean,
serious. That could be some.
meditation and self-regulated other methods
All
of
right, all you yoga instructors,
and all those things would be
let's not do no conspiracy.
essential
Yeah.
to have.
Because yeah,
There's no zen. It would be too chaotic, and with chaos, you have to have something with chaos.
To lay
Caffeine, it'll wake you up, right? If you come in and get a cold brew, and like you love a cold brew, we got that for you.
So
It'll wake
caffeine's
you
the
up.
slap in the face in the midst of chaos. Okay, I like this.
So it's like when you wake up, let's say you work in a job like ICU, or you're on the transplant team, or these are high income earners, right? That have lots of disposable income.
And they also have very intense jobs and
intense jobs. There's lots of lawyers, got to get prepared for court. There's every industry of every sort has their stress and anxiety, right? So if you wake up and you get dressed and you brush your teeth, you have your breakfast, but you walk into that chaos, okay, what do you think you would want to have with you?
Either a shot of whiskey or a shot of coffee.
Facts, man.
One of the two.
And those are two, like one is an additive and one is a number and a suppressor. Wow. So when you think about that from a chemical-based state, your question
becomes only one,
could be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Coffee prices would spike.
That would be an epidemic, really.
Yeah. Your coffee price would spike overnight if that happened.
Okay, we don't want that to happen.
No, and honestly,
theoretical.
Honestly, there are other countries that benefit quite well from our consumption of coffee. Yeah. So it's a resource too that they would not want to go scarce. Now, even to that point, with the things that are happening right now in our political realm, right? There are countries that are going, well, you know what? We like you guys, but this guy, we just, and the tariffs and so what we're going to do is we're going to hold our best product. So in coffee, there's quality control and there's scoring, and you have your highest scores come from some of these, Brazil, some exotic countries, right? Well, they'll start saying, well, we're going to keep our premium product for our own people.
You guys are getting the mid-grade for a little while. Mid-grade. Damn.
Yeah. So it becomes these chess matches, and at that rate, that's why it's $1 trillion industry. That's why, the Illuminati,
the coffee cartel.
Right. It exists. It's a chemical drug that exists between the natural way of receiving caffeine versus the pharmaceutical way.
I can already tell we're gonna have to do a part 2 here. This is a fun conversation. What is the natural way of receiving caffeine? Now, this is a total tangent, but I'm like, now I gotta know. What's the natural way?
It's coffee.
Okay. Are we supposed to be chewing on coffee beans?
You can.
Okay.
Yeah, there's espresso covered chocolate things.
Yeah.
Anything that's gonna have coffee in it is gonna be having something in it. Now, depending on the process, like if we get into like how decaf is created, there's lots of chemicals, right?
Joke.
There's lots of chemicals that are created to make something that's naturally caffeinated, not caffeinated as much. Okay. So you have to think about how things are now engineered, right?
To be coffee.
To be caffeine.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. You can pharmaceutically create caffeine in a pill in its powder form, or you can put that powder form in an energy drink.
Right.
And that's now caffeine that's natural because it's purchased. The only manufacturer difference is it's Red Bull.
Right.
Not
the channel,
Pfizer.
The label. Okay, look. I'm loving this, man. I'm loving this. What is a cafe owning barista eat for breakfast? Do you even eat breakfast?
No, I don't.
You don't. So
no. Probably haven't ate breakfast like on a regular basis.
Like a sit down breakfast? You eating on the run, or you just don't eat at all?
I just don't eat at all.
When do you stop and usually
because I'm up early, like around 4:35. Wow. whatever that time
Farm
is.
hours though.
Facts, right? And a large part of that is like from an early age. That's how I was operating.
Okay.
Because I just was up watching, the first episode of SportsCenter would air at 5:01.
Oh.
And so I would be up early watching
catch sports.
5:01 as a kid
Okay.
because I love sports so much.
Got you. So
And
that's your thing.
That
You're
was
up.
like, yeah, I was up.
But
And
still,
so
we're not eating though. Why aren't you eating?
I don't know. It wasn't really something that was like, it's not like my parents didn't have any food or they didn't ask me to eat or nothing like that.
You just weren't interested.
I just really wasn't interested. I was
Okay.
like consuming information at that time.
You wanted school lunch.
I would go to school and I would literally tell my friends, "Did you guys see this game? Did you see the stats? This is, and then as I got into college, sports became a part of my life, right?
Okay.
So now I'm waking up for 5 a.m. in the morning
For training and
for
tour
training.
days.
So so that would be different where I would feel my body to give me what I needed when I needed it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's like I didn't ever really always eat like when it was like, I guess like it was only I ate when it was needed.
Yeah, food.
You know what I mean?
That eating is a necessity.
It was, yeah, because I wasn't even eating that good.
Right,
Like for real. Like I tell people, like we have a grilled PB&J on our menu,
Okay.
and I didn't ever have jam until we put that on our menu.
No shit.
Yeah, because I grew up only eating a peanut butter sandwich
Why is that?
because I didn't like jam.
Okay.
Like
well,
I was a picky eater, but I was like I ate when I needed.
You know,
to
it
eat.
makes sense that you're picky because you're a roaster and
Yeah.
you need to be
Yeah,
picky.
you need to be
have a
meticulous.
lot of discernment in
Yeah,
what you do.
yeah.
So shout out to your not jam eating ass. We love
Yeah,
that.
but when we put that on the menu, I was like, I can't have a peanut butter sandwich just on the menu. So we put it on there, and then I was like, damn, this is fire.
So let me ask you, what's your pet name or nickname for Kinship Cafe? Like, do you call it the shop? Do you call it the cafe?
Yeah, I call it the shop, the spot.
The spot, okay.
Okay. Either or. That's just kind of like always been. It's like also my home, because I be here all the time. I be sleeping here, I be doing everything
Just
here.
crash, dude.
So
Okay.
it's like also like kind of like full send, but yeah, the shop is usually the
Simple, easy. I was guesstimating at that one. I kind of felt I was gonna be the one. All right, so food lovers are called foodies. What are coffee lovers called?
People call them coffee snobs. That's like, I think to some sentiment, I take some personal vendetta against because I think there is a standard for specialty coffee like quality and what it should taste like, and I think the other part is there's the Starbucks way that people enjoy coffee, which is like they turn their roaster at 500, they throw a bunch of coffee in there, and they time it to be like out in 8 minutes because they gotta keep they just gotta keep going, right? And but it's also like the man's paying you, and he ain't paying overtime,
right?
And he ain't right, so it's also that piece
very
too.
Capitalized.
It's very much that piece too.
Yeah.
So they're putting out this quality of very low subpar coffee, right?
Oh. Is it a quality process then of how they get it to you?
No, because it's their own standard. Like in coffee, it's just like, bro, this blew my mind. This blew my mind. I remember asking the mentor, how do I know like if I'm doing it and it's good?
Okay.
Like how do I know?
That's a fair
like
question,
how do I know?
right?
Like, is there a grade or like a test I can give it? Like, how do I know? Like I'll roast this coffee. So for example, like let's take Costa Rica. Okay, this coffee here. Costa Rica coffee, right? It's just a singular cherry bean. Like it's just like a singular bean.
Okay.
When I roast it from a light, like my skin tone, right? If I roast the bean this skin tone, I'll get fruity, I'll get berry, I'll get citrus. Okay? If I roast it to your skin tone, I get maybe chocolate, hazelnut. I don't get this anymore. I get more of this, right? If we go even darker to like the Durple people, you know what I'm talking about, right? Hey, yeah, those people, right? When you get to those people, that's the dark roast. That takes out all of the floral notes. That takes out most of the chocolate notes.
Is that
now
back
you're
on
getting
the bitter,
acidic, dark
is that
chocolate.
where like
but
the
think
espresso...
about it too. When you think about coffee beans, if you roast this to its most darkest point, you're roasting and sucking all of the moisture out of the bean.
Okay.
So the bean is starting to shrivel up and it's really brittle and
Right.
it breaks. So now when I have that dark roast coffee that has all of these acidities and things, it's super brittle. And so it would roast, and then I would maybe need like, let's just say I need like, we weigh in grams, okay? So let's just say like I would need, 500 beans
Right.
of this dark roast to get 20 grams of coffee, right? Whereas if I roasted at a lighter rate, like mine rate, I may only need 450 beans because the beans aren't so shriveled up and so overdone that there's all these beautiful notes that are coming out of that bean.
Because you haven't concentrated it down.
And it's also less bitter. So it's also one of these things that in that 20 grams, it's less coffee, but it's also equally like higher quality. There's more notes. I got some people. So.
Okay.
Oh, that's not that. Interesting.
All right.
So
that's
like
really good. That's really good.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is like I can take Costa Rica and I can roast it 100 different ways. And if somebody's really sharp on coffee, they'll taste it at least 50 different ways. Okay.
Like
but
their palate.
Yes,
okay.
But when I'm roasting it and I'm tasting all the different ways to roast it, fam, I'm tasting those notes and I get to go, okay, this tastes like this tastes like this tastes like this. I like this. I'm roasting this at a small sample size. Now I reverse engineered to roast at 25 pounds. So now I'm roasting 25 pounds of Costa Rica, but I'm roasting it at a specific recipe based off of the temperature and how it's rising.
Of the small batch style that you've been able to expand and scale.
And taste it to make sure
you're sciencing the shit out of this, man.
It has to be done.
Okay. Now, is everyone...
Quality is important.
Not everyone is a nerd. I get that. But is everyone as involved in the process? Like, is that just a barrier of entry for coffee? You know, if you're going to be in coffee, you need to be involved on some level.
It's a big barrier, and I'm super blessed and thankful for the people that have allowed that barrier to not be as difficult for me to overcome.
Okay.
You know, I think given the time and the elements that were natural, I got the opportunity to have what I got to have, right? But I think what was different was there were other people that were out there that saw the opportunity to be in coffee as a Black business owner, right? And brand themselves a specific way to look
a certain way,
right?
Because you are the only Black roaster.
Yeah.
In KC and in Missouri, Kansas.
I mean, you can add Revo Cup because Revo Cup is Black owned. They're owned by these Ethiopians.
Okay.
And they're cool people too.
Okay.
But they're more focused on the expansion, the capitalization. They're not. I don't see them doing pop-ups. I don't see them.
They're
talking,
focused in.
Yeah, you know, and I don't. Maybe you didn't even know there was Black owned.
I didn't. I did not.
So there's those elements where we pride ourselves on where with it.
So let me ask you this. This is probably
I do at least.
This is definitely a controversial question. Do you feel like sometimes in the business, this may not just, and this is definitely not focused on coffee.
Yeah.
But from the business angle, do you feel like sometimes it's easier for companies to kind of hide their Blackness?
Yeah, because there's like, there's.
I did not mean
no.
to
Like let's
no.
Like if we go to music, right, as an industry, okay, let's play back with slave days to R&B and jazz that evolved into rock, that evolved to country, that evolved to pop, right? Yes. Okay, you can put rap and all of that, right? So that piece to me is it is still happening today, and there are people that are trying to disrupt that industry. Right. And those people, like they're very notable because they're earning their stripes. Right. Kendrick Lamar from the Super Bowl. Right. That's a man. Right. And he's a disruptor. So don't test that. Right. Drake saw what that was like. But also out of the respect to the game and that he it's about just having respect for people's craft.
Right. Right.
So I can have respect for everybody's craft. I can have love for everybody to be winning the way I want them to win, right?
Absolutely.
The way I want to see them win. But there is a distinct difference between just being happy to be here or creating a lane.
That's a bar, y'all. That's a fucking bar.
So
happy to
like
be here.
I'm cool to like have the invite to the room,
right?
But I got my own room, and like my time here is limited, and I got other business to attend to, and my room is that you don't got that access, and that's okay.
Right.
But that's just how it is, and I'll let people have access to that room. I'm not trying to gatekeep. I'm not trying to ever like take people away from having their opportunity to learn what I've learned and have this opportunity to be a part of what I'm doing. But I also will tell people like that's a lump sum of money that's being needed for that to even exist.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
We're able to do it with a cafe, and even in the same breath, most roasters don't have a cafe.
Yeah, you are sitting on a gold mine in that sense, right?
So a lot of roasters like very rarely have a cafe. A lot of roasters just drop ship.
Right.
And sell. And that's what you see on Amazon. That's what you see everywhere
So
else.
in a sense, what you're doing is able to roast. So you're supplying an outside demand and inside. You can wholesale to others and also sell to the individual people.
Correct.
And
I can even like go to a place like the Pitchside Squad with the KC Current, and I can introduce like things to them that I think would be good for what they are about and what their brand value is. So we have a really good relationship.
Okay.
So when I see something that's like, oh, hey, did you guys, I'll send it to them.
Right.
And because it's like a real good respect value and collaborative value, like they see this as me trying to help them or me trying to show them something that they didn't maybe, they're focused on soccer. They're focused on winning games. So, hey, here's something maybe you should look at. And then they see it and they go, yes, let's jump on it.
But they're also coffee brewers.
Yeah.
Now, are they roasters as well? Or are they?
So I roast for them.
Okay.
And then
wow, congratulations, by the way.
Thanks.
Shit.
And so I roast for them and their coffee, but also, they've asked for like help with staff or help with, menu stuff or anything like that. Any questions or anything like that. It's always been trying to educate them and show them like, hey, well, here's something that you guys could purchase, or here's something like I'm always helping them out. Wow. And there's not like a fee for that. It's really just like
it's a relationship.
Absolutely. When I know that you're gonna sell more coffee, who else is gonna benefit from that?
Right.
So and that's a relationship, right? That's now a place where we're both like having footing and we're both winning in this and we're both understanding how we can work together to make this really grow and expand. And that's the same thing with my team at Kinship, working with them, teaching them the elements and the processes. And then I can step away and watch that scale out and build out, right? So it's that whole piece of maybe the intellect piece, but also like the know-how. Like I've done it before. I can show you how to do it. Like I'll even sit there.
You have a lot of it.
Go ahead and FaceTime me. Like I went to a coffee shop that we don't work with, and they're like, our espresso machine is down and we can't figure out what's going on. And I went over and tried to figure it out, and I was able to fix it.
Oh, you would Miss Teagues that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Like
I can fix
it's
that.
MacGyver. No, I'm just playing. But it was just like, you don't, especially for the people like us, like bro, like you have to understand you have to meet people where they at. And
Absolutely.
that doesn't need to be valued at a price tag. That doesn't need to be valued at like, what did I get out of this type thing?
Right.
Like, oh, you're a friend. I value what you're doing.
Some kind
and
of exchange anyway. Like you don't always have to get a thing out of it because, like you said, relationship, and you're building off of the experience, and that something else comes later on. And if it doesn't matter. You're still experiencing and engaging with each other, so you still have a moment to grow and gain from that. But I mean, that's me being a hippie. Right.
But it's also like this element where I don't get to take that thunder from you. That's the value that I give to y'all. Is I know where I'm at.
Right.
So that ain't me. That's just my coffee. That's the work I put behind it. The marketing, the serving, the brewing, what you taste when you get served by these people, that's all them.
Right.
I give them all that. That's
you just
literally
stay in your lane.
I just stay in my lane. And I think that's the whole difference between like, no offense, like co-signing and just recognizing somebody. When I co-sign with you and we going in on a car together or a loan together, when I co-sign, we both benefit.
Right.
There's something I get to gain out of this. If you don't even work it out, I still get to gain something. I get to take ownership, or credit,
something
whatever,
comes out of
right?
it, right?
So, but if I'm over here and I recognize you and I say, hey man, nice car, I like the car over. Hey, what do I benefit out of that? Nothing. But I'm still recognizing and showing value to us just knowing each other.
But in
and
the process of just doing that, you uplift that person just by that compliment or that smile, or that recognition.
Yeah, it's positive energy that's exchanged right now.
Going back to, I like what.
And so you're like, yeah, like if you was doing something good and I pump you up to do it more, then what happens if you keep doing it more? Like more good? Like I mean, that is crazy. Oh my gosh. This guy's talking insane.
Dangerous.
He's a freaking bar dropper. What? Like, so, no, it's just like common sense.
Let me ask you this. This one's a fun one, right? Why do you think some out-of-towners confuse KC Mo with KCK? Like when you tell people you're from Kansas City, it doesn't matter which side of the river you're from, right? People just almost always assume Kansas.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
That's Big Brother syndrome, bro.
Break that down for me.
That's Big Brother. Okay. That's like KCK is always going to be the younger brother to Big Brother. And Big Brother really don't talk much metro-wide or even out of tourism about anything in KCK. So Big Brother, he likes the limelight. He likes being seen. He enjoys getting the Fed money. He enjoys getting the FIFA money. He enjoys... You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the crumbs
go where they go.
Now, keep in mind, Little Brother is like 225,000 people to a million plus. Okay. The services and the disparities of what is happening in both cities is atrocious. Right. But keep in mind that it's not the same problems. It's not to the same extremes. There's more here for us than we realize in the KCK. We can make 225 feel like a million with the work behind our values, the pride we take in our community, etc. Right? But I think that's the piece that is so hard when that community has kind of always been in the shadows. And there's been trauma, there's been disorientation, there's been confusion, distrust, the whole 9 yards with government, with police, with etc. Right? In this community too. So you have 50 years of that traumatization happening. And then you have us coming in trying to pump all this good positive energy within it. Yeah. You know, we ibuprofen, and it's like, you know, if you a grayed out, you know, dead, lifeless body, you know, we started with this much life in us, and our hope is when we gone, there's a lot more life that we've left behind, you know, and that piece that we was in is starting to create its own element of life and
starting to like replicate the cells and
okay, and that's the way I see it, like with that. And that's been like this mission of like how do I be like, this is really weird, but the mission in Kinship in this project, because I call it a project, I have other projects too, but this is a project. But Kinship's project and its goal was, how do you become the best friend to the city's soul?
Wow.
So what does that look like? Like how does that translate in its authenticity from the time the sale is made to the time the check is cut, like between staff and between customer base? How do you be a business that people take pride being a part of because of the work it does and the values it brings to customers that feel proud and supporting, but also seeing that actually exist in real life? Like, oh my gosh, the more I come here, the more I see Black excellence and Black curation and creativity and etc. Right? That's the piece that excites me about it.
Right, that keeps you the little bits that keep you coming back.
Yeah, because I've seen the evolution of that, bro. I mean, from $10 swipes to 40, 50-day swipes now. Like, you've seen it explode. You've seen it happen from no equipment and owing everything to having the equipment and owing nothing. Like, you know, all those spaces, you have to look at that and go, okay, well, at least I did something. Like, I knew I was a lot. At least I knew what I was doing there. Like,
TJ, let me tell you, you have done an extreme amount. And, you know, I don't even know how long you've been at this. So, like, how long has Kinship been going? Or, you know?
Yeah, so we started in October of 2021. As COVID was starting to subside a little bit. But in that space, we was stuck with like logistical issues with our equipment getting shipped in. So we opened in October 2021, and we didn't have the espresso machine, we didn't have hot water, we didn't have like certain things.
Right.
And also we had been passed by the health inspector, but only to serve out the garage doors. And this is October.
Wow.
So October, you
so
know,
you're right in the middle of this shit.
yeah. So it's like 7 to 1, or it was 7 to 1 the first week, trying to like sort out hours and what the inflow is going to be like, and etc. Because people are talking and making a big noise about it, and it's just me. I don't have staff. I'm just trying to figure it out. And my ex at that time, and so that was a real big part, was having their help and getting everything started with her family and all the friends that we were able to have together. And so when we got started, it was really just us two, and that was a whole process trying to understand like just how to piece everything and then start to pay people and bring some other people in.
But you've been at this now for almost 5 years, and you've been able to like build a successful situation. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, now we have 5 staff people. We have elements where we're now roasting for other coffee shops.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like
helping other people out, and our whole
become
focus is really to just like, if we can help you be better at what you're doing and you sell more coffee in the process, you're making more money, we're making more money, everybody
wins, right?
Like, there's nothing bad about
I feel like the energy for you is to make money with someone as opposed to making money out of someone.
Yes, that's facts.
I feel like
that's I'm gonna take that, because I didn't fully process that until then. And somebody said this, like we have Black owned business owners that we have like in retail, right? Okay. And so in that space, when people go and buy their products, we give them all of the profit. So we take the sales tax, because we accumulate that sales tax. We take the sales processing fees from Square, and then that's it.
Wow.
The rest of that goes right back to the vendor, the creator, because I know, just like me trying to create this to better my life and better the people around me, that's exactly what they're doing. And I'm not trying to get in front of that to be a community builder.
Right. Because that forces that in its own way. When you do that, you become a gatekeeper or a hindrance to someone's process and to their own greatness. Wow. Okay.
And it's also, it does not, if you want a safe place to operate in business, just quit now.
Because it's
not safe to be in business.
Okay, let me ask you, what were some lessons learned or pitfalls that you got out from coffee, from working or not out, because you're still here?
Yeah, I've learned so far really how to listen to people. I mean, I'm multitasking oftentimes, and I'm hearing conversations in the room, not to like be eavesdropping of any sort, but also to pick up on energy.
Okay.
If I'm hearing a tone, if I'm hearing something that I feel like needs to carry on in another place, because this is good vibes only. It's more of like a protector type space. I have had to do that on occasion between disagreements with people politically or what have you, right? And we're close to the government, and so we have people that have oftentimes meetings with these people and those issues and etc. So we want to be a safe place for everybody to be able to come in and feel welcomed and not feel insecure about where they're at. You're right, looking over their shoulder because somebody's saying some type of thing or whatever. Like, we've had moments where people have been crying in conversation, sharing something really intense, and then somebody bringing napkins over to them. Just, I can see your energy's this, and I just feel bad for you. So here,
But that's part of the community that you've cultivated here as well.
Yeah, I mean, you want everybody to be seen, and so when we come in here and people, like when you got here, bro, I dapped you up and I was like, "What's good, bro?"
Yeah.
That's my energy, because I know everybody outside of this world, when I'm not in this, it's not good vibes, right? But outside in the world, you in trial, you challenged, you's going through it.
Yeah.
You comparing yourself to everybody else and what you may not have or what you may not exist in your world. We kind of do the same thing. When you come in, you hear the word good morning, good afternoon. I tell my staff, if you start with good, they will leave with good, right? Because we tell them and enter that word into their thought process wherever they're at in their thought process.
Are you a Pisces?
No,
Okay.
I'm a Virgo.
Shut up.
Yeah, that Cat Williams junk was all, I felt every bit of that energy. I just was soaking it up. Yeah.
Okay.
And I love Geminis. So that's the other piece. Like, I'm loyal to Geminis.
So all right, we got just a couple more questions, but I am actually I'm gonna hit you up because I want a part 2 to this, man. We got
Yeah, this has been a good vibe, though.
I do gotta ask what we call the sponsored questions. You know, just a couple questions that come from our sponsors. Our number one sponsor is Thrax Pastry. Nothing for sale here, just a suggestion of where you can spend some time. And this question is what we call comfort foods. So you've had a long day. We already know you don't eat much anyway. So you've had a long day, 12 hours at the shop. What's your go-to comfort food that lets you unwind and just cap your day off?
Oh man, there's so many places, bro. Recently it's been Mooney, Kansas City.
Okay.
They're in the River Market space. I love Farmhouse for brunch. That's like my go-to birthday thing. Is I go to Farmhouse for brunch.
Okay.
They always they're farm to table, everything. They got
okay.
people that've been there for 8-10 years. Like they loyal to their people. They loyal to their customers.
Okay.
Great business people as well. Let's see. I love Oddly. You know, I like going there for coffee, grabbing some things, working from there, getting some things done. Comfort food, man. I say, um, it's been different. So recently, it's been burgers, bro. So
Okay.
Disco Burger. I don't know.
Disco Burger. Okay.
Yeah, Disco Burger slaps. I be messing with them. There's a spot down the street actually called the Easy Inn that has, I'm gonna say, the best burger in KCK.
Okay.
They have really good burgers, but on Wednesdays, bro. So like Wednesdays, check it out tomorrow. They got for $5 a shot of tequila, a Tecate beer, and 3 tacos.
We love tacos. We love
Like
tacos.
they're not like gonna be blown away tacos, but just the deal.
Tacos.
And they got pool table, they got darts.
Tell me a taco that doesn't taste good with beer and tequila.
I mean, that's the part. That's
Come
the part.
on.
Like I'll go
Come
there
on.
and reload, you know, and it'll be nice. So I like that spot. Also be like really enjoying there's a place called Luna's Chicken. It's like a Hispanic owned fried chicken seafood joint.
Okay.
But bro, their catfish
You
and
fucking
their
it up,
oh man, it's fire. And they like really friendly service. You know, they like really nice.
Service is important to you. Service is big to you.
Like I really value that. If you can be like quality work and you have great service, like I'm probably gonna be a lifer because I know like some of that can be fake some days, even when you in it. Like
because you have to. Some days you have to like go through the motion, right? Especially on rough days.
Yeah, and I think that's a value of like when I talk about Black excellence, I talk about it more from an authenticity space than I do from like this is the bar. Like I'll aim for the bar, but in authenticity, I will always show up as my best self.
As yourself. Okay.
Yeah, like as my best self. So maybe that might be 70% some days.
But that's okay though. It's a strong 70%.
And I'm still aiming for excellence. So
I love that. So I want to ask you, where was that question? Have you ever heard of a spite store?
Oh.
A spite store. You ever heard of one?
What's a spite store?
So it's from, what is that show? Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay.
Larry David. There's a series or like a story arc in one of this episodes where he decides to open up a coffee shop as a spite store because of the guy that pissed him off. This is where I learned about the coffee cartel. And so I was just wanted to be funny and ask if you'd ever, if you ever heard of a spite store, if you ever thought of like, starting something just to spite somebody, someone that pissed you off.
No, like I think because there's so little of Black ownership and equity in coffee, I don't really play games.
You ain't got no time
with
for that.
But at the same rate, like I do enjoy dark humor. And I do enjoy a good rub. That's like maybe
who doesn't like a good roast?
Yeah. So I do think like in the space of having content control and marketing control like I have now with Kinship, personally, that's something I enjoy most
Okay.
about being able to actually create Kinship is being able to share the story, the narrative, the people behind Kinship.
Right.
You know, it just people love a hero. People love having somebody lead something and
someone to tell them that it's going to be okay or that things are good.
yeah.
Hey, just be
and
good.
I honestly, that's a lot of pressure for me.
Okay.
Planning, executing, that's a lot of work.
Right.
Sharing puts more pressure on those things because it's not a part of everybody's
It creates
world.
an expectation
Yeah.
too, right? Okay.
And ultimately, like a lot of these things that are happening are behind the scenes.
Okay.
Well, if I'm behind the scenes doing all this work, coming out in front of the scenes and being the foreleader of that, and then going around 5 people to go to the back,
right?
That's exhausting.
Yeah.
And there's also like a depth to that internally. Because now I feel obligated to give you context to why we're doing what we're doing. Because
so you don't got time to be like fuck with nobody.
No, unfortunately not. But I think in like some spaces, like we had an article. I mean, I say we. There was an article made by the Kansas City Business Journal, and in the title last week it said Kindred Cafe, and it was like all over the article, Kindred Cafe. And so that kind of actually was like, oh, we're gonna make a spoof on that. You know, that'll be like a fun SNL moment for us as
so you can make fun of yourself
as a production,
in a way,
but as a production, like
yeah.
I get to carry the narrative and produce that and put that where I want to put it. So as opposed to like having something that spitefully might be cool,
right?
Cost me so much money.
Yeah.
I might as well as just own the outright ownership over it and just let it virally circulate.
Go from there.
Yeah, because the community will just.
That was good.
It'll be an education moment.
So look, like I said, we're gonna come back around. We got to do this again, but I do got to hit you with my closing question. I ask everybody this, and I'll probably ask you that again when I come back.
Word.
But when it's all said and done, when the shop is closed down for the night, people have left, they've got their coffee and everything, what is it you want them to walk away with as far as the experience of Kinship Cafe?
Yeah, it's in our tagline, and you just got it. Taste the kindness.
Taste the kindness.
Yeah, because I think when we're intentional about especially with the coffee aspect, right? If we're intentional about the hands that are being around those beans and the work that's put behind it, when you get it, that reminder, I'm tasting kindness, I can do kindness. Like there's this element of exchange because it's caffeine. Yes. It's that go-go juice, right?
I see what you
so
did
it's
there.
this element of like those values. You know, we serve police officers, we serve commissioners, we serve judges, we serve all sorts of different persecutors. Like, can you imagine if we just fed into their negativity? They came in here every single day. This community was complaining and moaning about whatever.
Right.
There would be no change. There would be no brokenness of like chains and things that would continue to happen in this community for people to not see the room and everybody in it. Right?
And you're big on people being seen.
So if I can bring this person in that really don't see the room that well, have this piece and this experience involved in their daily life, then like that planner is not like going to every permit. He's like not like exactly. He's like no, granted, I'll accept it. Yeah, okay, cool. You know, that sounds like that piece. You know, the officer going to the first stop after his cup of coffee.
Yeah,
I could see how this could go wrong, but I'm just gonna ask the guy like, "Hey, man, how's it going? Did you know you're speeding?" Like just casual, just like a normal human being.
And
just
he
like
has a good experience doing his job, which feeds into his next one. And
exactly, bro. You're catching it. So it's like when we saw how close we were with this, I really thought, very intentional about how to make this the most casual pump of positivity that these people didn't know existed in their own community, but also like could like carry weight and impact, right? And I think that's the piece where people are like, where are you from? What are you like? What are you doing here? Yeah. Like, you're not from around here. When I tell them I'm from small Wamego, Kansas, and we don't like people coming into this community and trying to change things. I'm like, well, then don't let it get
here.
this bad.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like it's not rocket science. Nobody's loving this, so why am I here to see it this bad? Like
Right.
it's been bad. I've been hearing about it like 10 years.
Right.
Like this ain't new. So it's also just trying to show people like how I see this community, how valuable I see this opportunity to be here at this moment doing what I'm doing. Like that part is invaluable because I only have one life. My time here is not forever. So I get this opportunity to be right here, do what I get to bring. If I'm gone tomorrow, I'm happy with what I left.
With what you did.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
And
look,
I think that's the most important part.
This has been a hell of a conversation. I've said it enough times, but we're going to come back and do this again. I did not understand until today how revolutionary coffee could be. I did not understand that, but I have a much greater...
Let me tell you this, because this will be a full circle moment. It was for me. When we look at 500 years ago, and our ancestors were rudely removed from their place of homes and families and heritages to come to the United States to work for the man, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And that was vastly notated as a slave trade route. Mm-hmm. If I told you then that the equity of a slave was a white man, and in today's world, 95% of the coffee that is consumed in the United States is traveled from the same countries that our ancestors came from. The coffee is picked by the same color and the same even family lineage of that slave that was removed from their family and brought to the United States. They are picking that coffee. They are taking that coffee in today's time through the same slave trade routes that our ancestors walked on. And that equity is still
the same.
White. Wow. So when I tell you that you can't just be happy to be here.
Right.
Not when you know that.
Right. There's
not
more
when
to it.
Oh, man. When you know there's, corruption in every ecosystem.
Right.
In these countries where farmers get bought out by large conglomerate organizations, countries, VC capitalists, etc., the coffee is purchased from a farmer before it's even picked.
Right.
Because the farmer's paid an X amount every year, no matter the crop's performance or not.
Some salary level shit type of thing.
Not even.
Like we just got you on some serfdom.
It's poor wage working conditions. And that family can't afford to go anywhere else. They grew up on that land. They couldn't afford it because the government taxed them out.
They're landlocked now, or they're locked.
Exactly. So we work with farmers that have been able to, despite those odds, and still carry 100% equity in their farm. And then we work with them to get that heat.
So what you're doing is even more important in a lot of ways. So
when you get to look at it, yes, because there's farms that have been able to create communities with the relationships and the profit they've been able to make. And they did it in such a way selflessly that when tourism affected coffee wages, like people wanting, okay, do you want to go work for a tour resort and make X amount of money from Americans, or do you want to go work in a coffee field?
Right.
Like everyone would
it's
make,
an easy
right?
choice,
so when that challenge is the test of time for workers to go in and hand pick things, these family farms were able to show value to their people, to have these people stand their ground and
continue to do what they do.
So there's now this lineage of value and the pride and the essence of how they do it that we take the same sentiment when it comes to us.
To what you do. Man, before we wrap, I just want to shake your hand. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I got to wrap this up.
No, you good.
Bump Jonas here with none other than TJ from Kinship Cafe. I always have a tagline at the end. I'll get to that. I just want to make sure you guys understand that there's a lot of heritage and kindness you're going to taste when you come down here. So just make sure you come down. Make sure you tip your barista.
Yeah, please.
Come on.
Please.
All right,
it does not benefit me. It benefits them.
With that said, as I always say, love yourself like you try to love the world. Do something to earn your place in the world this week. Just be some dope individuals. Y'all have a good one. Peace.